G'day, my name is Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of the upcoming Olympics, I'm talking to Miss Aoife Coughlan. Aoife, thank you very much for the time. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Joel. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate the time, especially. It is bright and early for you. I know you've only been awake for 30
Yeah, a little
minutes,
bit.
but how has the day been?
Yeah, not so busy so far. Just a few chores. Hung out a wash, put another wash on, and soon it'll be breakfast time, and then off to the gym.
What's for breakfast?
I think Maeve, my sister, will be making scrambled eggs.
Like
Nothing
breakfast of
too fancy, but
champions.
she is very good at it.
Breakfast of champions.
Absolutely.
Is she the best at cooking eggs out of the two of you?
Oh, yes, by far, she's the best chef out of the two of us. She does most of my cooking. I'm pretty good, but she's better at it for sure.
But you're not bad. You're not like wrecking meals.
No, no, no. I could definitely survive on my own and enjoy cooking and eating and everything, but she is just leagues ahead of me.
The time difference, of course, you were coming to me, I believe, from Hungary.
Yeah, I'm in Hungary at the moment. I'm in Budapest. Just had a quick little 3-day training camp in Parks, which is a small country town, and then Budapest now for 2 more days before we head to Paris on Saturday.
How is Hungary?
Oh, I love Hungary. We've always been very welcome here by the judo people. We have great family, great friends here. It feels a bit like family. Um, yeah, so always really welcome. It's very hot. Budapest is a beautiful city. Yeah, so really lucky to be able to base ourselves here for the next few days and that we feel so comfortable here.
How many times have you gone to Hungary for either for training or just in general?
So quite a few, I reckon, maybe over five. We spent a lot of time in Hungary in 2021 during the COVID lockdown periods and stuff because we could base ourselves here and they were one of the only European countries that would let us in without having to go to the embassy. So we were very fortunate. Yeah, yeah.
Is there a big judo scene in Hungary?
Yeah, yeah. Hungary's been really good at judo for a long time. One of the main ones I can think of right now is Heidi Karakash, who's European champion, junior world medalist, and she's actually a good friend of mine and one of the people that looks after us while we're here. And now she works for the International Judo Federation. So she's um she's really good. They've had uh, Olympic medalists, world medalists, European champions. Yeah.
You were coming to me, as I said, from Hungary, just before you go off to Paris. However, what has this kind of training tour been like? Because I know a few days ago you weren't in Hungary. So where have you been going?
Yeah, so we left Australia maybe 3 or so weeks ago. We started in Spain. We went to Benidorm for an international training camp, which was fantastic. There's heaps of people to train with. Plenty of people from the Olympics from my weight division were there as well. So it's good to get my hands on them and train with them close to the game so that I can just refresh my memory about what they're like. Then from Spain, we went to Denmark, where we had a lighter week of training, a bit more fun. We got to explore a little bit as well. And we have good friends in the Danish team, and they took care of us really well and made sure we felt really welcome. And then, yeah, to Parks for 3 days and now Budapest. And then the last little bit will be done in the village in Paris.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's getting very exciting. It came up a lot quicker than I thought it was. A 3-year Olympic cycle was much shorter than a 4-year one, or even a 5-year one with COVID. So, yeah, it feels like just yesterday I was just starting my Olympic cycle, and now it's less than 8 days away that the opening ceremony is. So, yeah.
And then in between then you also did the Commonwealth Games in there as well. So I feel like it's probably just like a
Yeah,
blur.
yeah, the last 3 years has been pretty hectic.
You mentioned your sister's over there with you. Uh I don't know where, obviously. Like, what's the living situation right now? Obviously, if you're bunking up with your sister, it's easy. But is like the whole judo team over there in one house right now?
Yeah, so the whole trip has been me, my sister Maeve, and Katerina, who's the other qualified woman for Australia, the under 63 kilo woman. We've had our two coaches, Daniel Kelly and Alex Haker, and then Josh Katz, who's the other qualified Australian 60-kilo man, just joined us yesterday with his brother Nathan, who's here as a training partner, like Maeve is for me and Katerina. So it's been Katerina and Alex are married, so they've been rooming together. Daniel's had his own room most of the time. We have a physio with us. She just went home the other day as well. And then me and Maeve have been in a room together for most of it. So hotel room in Spain. We shared an Airbnb in Denmark, and now we're in hotel rooms again in Parks. Now we're in some apartments in Budapest. So I think four studio apartments. So it's like a 2 people apartment. Yeah.
What's that like? You're like traveling the world with your friends, going on, getting ready to conquer. Like, what's the feeling like with that?
It's pretty special. We're a really close team and we support each other really well. So I couldn't ask for any better people to travel with, and especially having Maeve with me is super special. For her to be experiencing this Olympic prep and to be here to support me and everything is really great. And I can't thank her enough for coming on the trip with me. I was really lucky. I got to experience some of the Olympic prep when my brother Owen went to Rio as well. I didn't get to do as much as Maeve's doing now, but I got to experience that, and it was super enlightening for me. So I hope this is really helpful for her too.
You, I've listened to some interviews. You talked about some stuff in the past, talking about Owen went on that journey to Rio. It really inspired you. Do you think Maeve will maybe follow you and you could see her in the Olympics in the future?
Yeah, she's so talented. I could definitely see her in LA in 2028. She's got a little bit of work to do, as we all do, because qualifying for judo is extremely hard. But she's definitely got it in her, and I'll be trying to qualify for LA too, because I think going to an Olympic Games together would be really, really great. Owen tried for Tokyo; it didn't quite work out for him, but having both my siblings on my international judo career has been just I can't even like explain how special it is and how incredible it is to have that support and the the connection to home with you. It's really really important.
I want to bring up Owen in a little bit because I know he's going down the MMA route. Uh, but let's not veer off the lady of the hour. We mentioned just before talking about your career and this run you've been on and we just mentioned kind of the ones that I think more the casual population would understand, the Olympics and the Commonwealth. I know between then you've also won some very high level tournaments as well. Um, but going back to the first Olympics that you were in, how does it compare? Very few people become one-time Olympian. You are now two-time Olympian. How is that? What is that like?
Oh, it's a huge honor. I mean, the best of the best are at the Olympic Games. Not every person gets to call themselves an Olympian, and there are some incredible world class athletes that never get to call themselves Olympians because they only just miss out by a hair length. Like it's crazy to think that I've done it once and now I get to do it a second time. So I've been extremely privileged in my career to be able to have these opportunities, and I work extremely hard for it, and I'm really happy to be seeing that it's coming to fruition. And now I just need to do myself justice on the day because it's not just about showing up, it's about making sure that I compete to the best of my abilities as well.
You said it there, like, so few people get to do that. And of course, it is the top of the world. It is regarded as that. And, but still, you have that experience. You've been here before. How do the nerves kind of feel compared to the first time?
Um, Similar, I guess. A little bit better. I'm a lot better now than I was in 2021 at controlling my nerves and using them in a more um, conducive way to help me rather than to hinder me. I know I've said it before, going into Tokyo, with all of the travel we had to do, with a few things around selection and everything like that with COVID, mentally, I wasn't in the best place I could have been. Physically, I was great and in the best shape of my life, but mentally, I wasn't really all there. So I've done a lot of work with my sports psychologist in the past few years to make sure that it doesn't happen this time around and that I can be physically and mentally prepared as possible going into Paris, and having that experience behind me and to be able to reflect on that to do better this time is, yeah, it's hopefully very helpful.
Of course, talking about that and that ability, to talk to a sports psych and that mental shift. Have you noticed that between these two Olympic cycles, where you do the Commonwealth run as well as everything else you've done, have you felt kind of maybe like whatever that mental difficulty was, have you felt it's easier now?
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot more tools to be able to deal with it. Working with a sports psychologist has been extremely helpful. I didn't do as much as I should have before Tokyo with the one that I had then, but one that I have now is she's been great, and um, she's been very, very helpful. And it shows in my performances. It shows that I can perform better in the higher pressure situations than I have done previously because my results have been better, my performances have been better, and I wasn't kind of chasing my tail to qualify this time. I was in a good, strong spot the whole time. So, yeah.
Well, if you can talk about it, what kind of were those like maybe mental blocks?
Yeah. So, for me, a little bit of it is there was a bit of a belief problem earlier on in my career, which I've thankfully gotten over. It comes back every now and then, but I just kind of push it to the side and tell it to be quiet. Then there's losing focus during the middle of matches as well. Judo, it can be over in 10 seconds and your day's done. So you really need to be switched on the entire time. So having different trigger words and tools that pull me back into the fight if I feel myself losing focus, and just telling myself that I'm not tired, my opponent's tired, things like that.
It's not exactly a question, but just you talking about that kind of made me think of this. Steve Erceg, a MMA fighter out of Perth, he fought for a world title, and I remember after the fight, he was talking about in the cage, he'd be like, "Wonder what my mum's thinking right now, like while I'm
Yeah,
doing this."
you don't want that happening. That's the worst thing that could happen, just especially in MMA. You don't the risk of injury is a little bit smaller in judo, but you
Still, it's
definitely don't
funny.
want that happening in MMA. But it happens all the time, and people don't realize it. So yeah, being able to drag yourself back in immediately is really important.
I was gonna say it's just funny to like. It's funny how the mind can drift,
Yeah,
but
especially like you feel like you're on, you feel like you're ready to go, everything's good, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about what's for breakfast the next morning, or your favorite song plays in your head, or whatever that annoying song is that's stuck in your head at the moment comes up. Yeah.
you're thinking about the eggs. You're
They're
like,
very good eggs, Dallas. Very good eggs.
those eggs was good, and then you're thrown, and you're like, it's over.
And it's over. That's my day done.
uh, Talking about you mentioned as along with that is that kind of belief problem that can arise. I believe in any athlete that can happen. That run that you have been on between the Olympic cycles and winning gold at the Commonwealth Games. How like validating is that then for you, where you're like, no, I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, getting a medal at any competition definitely helps you see, yes, I can do it. It's more so not so much the medals that show that I can do it. It's the being able to fight 3, 4, 5 times in a day and still be beating the best people in the world. The medal at the end of the day is the bonus, but the performances throughout the day is what I really look for now. And if I'm whether I'm having a not so good day and I can still beat some of the best in the world and get through to the medal rounds, or I'm having a great day, um, that's what I look for now, more so than the medal at the end of the day. That's a great thing to have. But the validating thing for me is when I do my video analysis at the end of the competition is how did I perform? How did I feel? And then how was I throughout the day?
I mentioned at the top about becoming a two-time Olympian. So few people get to do it once. Also, a very exclusive group, people who are Olympians and Commonwealth Games athletes. How does a Commonwealth Games compare to a Olympic Games?
I think the Commonwealth Games is a great multi-sport event for people who haven't ever experienced an Olympic Games. For judo, Commonwealth Games is quite a bit smaller than it is for the Olympics. Obviously, it's worldwide rather than the Commonwealth, but within the Commonwealth Games, you've got a few strong countries, and then some not as strong countries in it. So Australia would be within the top four of the strong countries in the Commonwealth. So whereas were Olympic Games, Australia would be a little bit further down on that list. So I think it was an amazing experience to be able to go and to win gold, and I won't ever forget it because I had a bunch of my family there. My nana was there. They'd come across from Ireland. My sister was there, so it was really special for that. And I think it's a great competition for people who maybe want to go to the Olympic Games, but they get this experience behind them first so that they know what a multi-sport competition is like. They don't get flustered by all of the amazing athletes like Simone Biles and Ash Barty and all of those people like wandering around, and then you get starstruck. There's still those incredible athletes, but it's a little bit smaller. So you get a little bit less of all the bells and whistles flying around, distracting you everywhere. So I think it's a great starter competition for that, and it's great for having para athletes and able-bodied athletes together as well. There's no other competition in the world that does that, and I think that was an incredible thing for me to experience because you don't have that opportunity at the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games. So I think it's really awesome for that.
I know I keep harkening back to it, but it's because I feel like the average person is just like, yeah, and then there's, they're Olympians. It is incredible. Like, I feel like it's something that we all kind of accept a little bit. But you're talking about, those moments where you're seeing high star athletes from other sports, whether it be at an Olympic Village or at Commonwealth Games. What is it like maybe before or after your event where you're kind of like a civilian, but not because like everyone's around and everyone's kind of there for the same reason?
Yeah, it's really awesome. Being able to interact with, and especially the Aussie team, they're so friendly and inviting, and it doesn't matter if they're a five-time Olympian with 12 gold medals or a first-time Olympian with no experience. Everyone is super easygoing and easy to talk to, and the staff within the Aussie team make you feel so comfortable. So it's actually really nice, and it's really great to be sitting in the common area when people who've won medals get to come back in and everybody's sitting there clapping and cheering for them. Commonwealth Games, it happened at the Olympic Games, it happened, and it's just like it's a really nice community to be a part of. So yeah.
You mentioned when you were at the Commonwealth Games, you had family from Ireland come over. If you're going to have any family for you this time, cheering you on in Paris.
Yeah, I am. I'm really lucky. My parents are going to be coming over this time around. I know weren't very happy that they had to miss Tokyo, and they would have been there in a heartbeat if they could have been. But they've managed to get the time off of work, and they're really excited to be coming to watch me in Paris. And I'm very happy to be having them with me. Obviously, I've got Maeve with me as a training partner as well, which is fantastic. And then I think I've got my nana's coming again. She's 91 and just loves to travel, so she'll be coming over from Ireland. Luckily, this is a bit shorter of a trip for her than Tokyo would have been. But yeah, she's coming with I think I have a couple uncles and a couple cousins coming along with her as chaperones as well. Make sure she doesn't get into any trouble.
Fantastic. I'm glad they're going to have that opportunity, and I'm glad you get that opportunity for them to be there. Are you a person, obviously, as like, we're talking about, your sister's literally training with you. Are you a person who will you be able to see them before you compete, or is it like I'll talk to you after I'm done, I'm here like locked in?
I'll probably wait until after. My parents don't get there until the day before I fight anyway, so that's probably the best thing. I'll be making weight on that day, and I probably won't be the happiest person in the world. So it's probably best to stay away from them. But yeah, I'll see them afterwards. I'll stay concentrated on what I'm supposed to do. Once I get my job done, I'll celebrate with them after.
Of course, we've talked about the traveling, and you've been gone from Australia. After your participation in the games are done, do you get to hang out in Paris, or are you like, I am going home?
It's a bit half half, really. I'm gonna go over to Ireland for a week to see my family in Ireland, my other grandma who doesn't travel as much. So I'm gonna see her and other family, and then I'm gonna come home because I've been on a plane enough this year. I don't need a big Euro summer. It's fantastic, and if I had people with me, maybe I would, but I need to come home and I need to get some rest. And obviously, Sarah's got a fight coming up, so I'm going to be there ready to help her and prepare with her. So
Do a little bit of celebrating, and then back to the grindstone.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take the rest that I need, but I will be training a little bit.
Now I we've kind of touched on it with seeing the psych and preparing yourself that way, but just between Tokyo and Paris, what has changed that has made you a better judoka?
I think I'm just a little bit older and a little bit smarter than I was. We do a lot of work on my match management and my tactical abilities, and since Tokyo, that's just kind of gone up quite a bit with all the extra work that me and Daniel do on that. So I think that's something that is integral to me winning fights is how I manage matches and being smarter than my opponent. And then just we've done a lot of tactical and technical work on finishing my throws too, which I haven't quite gotten around to yet, but I'm getting there. I'm starting to throw a little bit more now, which makes my fights a lot shorter, which is fantastic. Better for my lungs. So yeah, I think I'm just a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and the experiences that I've built up behind me with fighting three, four times, five times in a day, um, is just builds a platform to continue improving.
Now, throughout this, I've made some references to like MMA, your brother fights. You mentioned Sarah Collins just before. That's a sport where like people are professional, but people don't get to meet as often. That's a sport where it's like these people max are probably going to fight 3 times. Whereas
Yeah.
judo is a thing where you travel the world and you kind of see the same people over and over and over again. What is the relationship like with opponents? Because you do see them over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's different for each person. I've there are some people that don't really want to interact with other people they fight with. There are some people that are super close friends. Like I have quite a few close friends within the 70 kilo group. They're all fantastic women and incredible athletes. And how could you not respect that? You know what I mean? So for me, I'm a friendly person, so I like to make friends if I can. Obviously, when you're on the mat, you're on the mat. But when you're off the mat, you can be friends. That's fine. So for me, I like to make friends if I can. I've got quite a few around the world, different weight divisions as well. But there are definitely some that you go, yeah, they don't want to be your friend, and that's perfectly fine. Just stay away from them. Train with them, fight them. Don't have coffee with them when you go back to the hotel.
Move on with life.
Yeah, exactly.
Ahead of these games, I saw if anyone Googles your name, the Whisper Challenge pops up. And I will say I did notice there was something on your finger during that, just at the bottom of the
Yeah,
frame. What was that? How's the
yeah.
hand?
The hand is good. I actually I broke my hand last year around September, I think August, September. So I was in that funky looking brace for I think 12 or so weeks total. It was quite a bad break. Didn't require surgery with the bracing, which was good. Um, but yeah, it put me out for a little while, actually. One of the two injuries that I've had this Olympic cycle. Um, but feels good, bone stronger than ever. Everyone tells me breaks make them stronger. Still can grip everything. No funky looking hand anymore, apart from the fingers that are a bit dodgy from judo, anyways. So good to go.
So that was filmed like ages ago then.
Yeah, that was done a little while ago, and during the fittings and stuff for potential Olympic people.
I was gonna say because that was only posted like a week ago. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, they don't tend to post things without the people being what's the word I want, qualified, officially signed off on, and after they've been announced. So it's good to get some content filmed before everyone's overseas preparing. Otherwise, they'd have nothing to post in the lead up.
Literally, be all doing the Whisper Challenge over Zoom.
Exactly, which possibly wouldn't work as well.
Yeah, literally just mute the other person. Now, we've talked about the training and the tour you've kind of been on, but you've talked about coming back to Melbourne and preparing Sarah Collins. Day to day, you're still out of resilience?
Yeah, yep. Resilience is my club. That's where I train, it's where I work, and it's pretty much a second home.
I've also heard in some other interviews you talked about another place. I think it's in Melbourne. I can't remember what it's called. You acronymed it. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, so we train out of the National Training Centre as well in Albert Park, which is I call it the NPC, which is next to the Victorian Institute of Sport, which is the VIS. So we do all of our strength and conditioning out of the VIS, and we do half of our judo sessions at the NPC as well, because I'm a part of the national team, and the National Training Centre is we have a group of people that we train with there as well.
And then, so do you do literally different stuff when you're at those two different places, resilience compared to that building, or is it just like we just do more judo?
No, it's all the same stuff. So half of the sessions are done at the NPC, half the sessions are done out of resilience, purely because Daniel is the head national coach, and he has to work as well as at the club as well as at for the NPC. And we can get more partners in as well. So we have quite a few people from other clubs that come into these sessions as well. So sometimes it's easier for them to get to Footscray than it is for them to get to Albert Park. So we just do half and half.
Talking about Daniel, your coach, I wanted to ask about that. So he's the national coach, but obviously he runs resilience. So is that
Yep.
like for you? That's just a coincidence. Like Josh Katz, I believe, is the other gentleman, Katrina as well. Are there coaches with them, like over there with you now?
Uh, so so Katarina's coach Alex, her husband, is he's also one of the um, national coaches at the moment. He's the Daniel's the head senior coach. Alex is the senior coach. So both of those guys run the program at the NPC in Melbourne. Josh isn't a part of the NPC. He was for 2 years, and recently went back to New South Wales to his home club again. So his coach is his father and his brother, Nathan. Sorry, got the brothers mixed up there. So Nathan is here with him. Nathan's been taking on a little bit of more of a coaching role since he retired. He's also one of the junior Australian coaches this year as well.
I mean, of course, it makes sense. Your coaches are with you, but for you, what is that like when? Because Daniel's obviously a very accomplished judoka, and I saw a clip. I believe it was from the Commonwealth Games of you landing a throw, and he's in the background, and he's like, "Yeah!" and his hands go up. Like when you do accomplish that, and you look over, and it's like, "Damn, man, that's Daniel Kelly cheering me on." Like, what is that like?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget sometimes just how much of an accomplished athlete Daniel is. He's a four-time Olympian, a Commonwealth Games representative in wrestling, a UFC veteran. He had 10 fights in the UFC, got into the top 15 in the world. Like he's an incredible athlete. He's done it in multiple disciplines as well, and even different ages as well. Like he didn't start UFC until he was like over, like he didn't get into UFC until he was like 36 or something, which is incredibly old for combat athletes. Sorry, Daniel.
I hope he's not in the
But
room
it's
with
just
you.
it just he's not, but he will probably hear this, so I will apologize. But it just shows how much of an incredible athlete he is and that he was, and it's you sometimes forget that when you're in that environment all the time, and it is something that's incredibly special, and the experience that he has fighting and just the longevity that he had in combat sports as well is just that experience is priceless, and it's he's one of the reasons that I've gotten to where I've gotten now, and he puts so much of himself into his athletes. He cares so much, and I don't honestly think I could have done it without him as my coach. So I'm extremely glad that I sought him out when I was done, and that Owen found him when he moved to Melbourne. So it's just yeah, him and Maria Peckley as well, who just his partner is just they're both incredible. So I'm extremely lucky with the coaching group that I have, and I couldn't be more thankful for them.
Now I'm gonna ask some questions about the future, but I am no way
Yeah,
encouraging to take the focus off the upcoming Olympics. But
no,
as
let's
I've
do it.
as I've mentioned a few times throughout this interview, mainly because I've seen him fight live a few times. Ian is currently going through the amateur ranks. I believe he's 4-2 at the moment. I would have to
Yeah,
assume
yeah, he is. Yeah,
he might be. I think I just totally said his name Ian. Did I? I meant Owen.
yeah, it's Owen. That's okay.
Bro, I'm fumbling. I'm also now have to start the camera again. I'm fumbling, bro. It's falling apart. It's falling apart.
Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry.
I'm.
We've got some tricky names.
I know, but out of
We've
I've
done it. Mum and
literally.
Dad did it deliberately. They
It's
said,
not.
let's trick everybody.
I know, but it's not fair, and I'm trying not to be rude. Um,
You're doing fantastic. You're doing really well.
Thank you. I needed that. um, I've seen Owen fight multiple times. His last fight, he won an amateur title. Um, was the MMA? Is that been anything you've ever thought about doing? Have you ever looked over and be like, maybe I could do that?
Yeah, I don't think it's for me. I definitely enjoy cross training, and I've done a little bit before with Sarah, with Owen, and all of that. But I don't think I'm gonna dip my toe in that pool. I'll leave it to the guys that are a little bit more into the physical violence than I am. I think they're all incredible athletes, and I think it's a very impressive sport. Um, However, not for me. I'll stick to my grappling.
That's so fair. Um, but then on the flip side of that, you talked about the next Olympic cycle and looking forward to that. Once this Olympic cycle ends, is it just like, and then we go back to work for the next one?
Yeah, so there'll be a little bit of a break. So for judo, the Olympics are 4 years apart. For judo, qualification starts 2 years before the next Olympic Games. So for judo, you have to acquire a certain amount of points, be in the top 17 in the world, this, that. You do that by winning fights and competitions at different levels, that sort of stuff. It's all very boring if you're not super interested in it and want to qualify. Uh, but yeah, so I'll have 2 years to get myself even better than I am now, then 2 years to amass as much points as I can to try and qualify for LA. So short break after this one, after Paris, just rest my body. I am a bit more of an older athlete now. I will be an older athlete come LA, so I have to really take care of myself, recover properly. Otherwise, it could be a very short Olympic cycle for LA and it could crash and burn.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you said before that I believe the end of this week you're going to head over to Paris. Between now and competing, what's kind of on the cards for you?
Yeah, so first there'll be small travel day. You have to go through all the processing. So Saturday will be quite a long day to get into the village. First day or so in the village, just be settling in, getting comfortable in the surroundings, figuring out where everything is, taking in everything that is an Olympic village, so that come Monday, Tuesday, we can go back into training, and training for the next week or so before we compete is going to be just short, sharp stuff, nothing too strenuous, just making sure that we're as sharp as possible going into our comp days. So we'll all fight on different days. Josh is 27th, Katarina's the 30th, and I'm the 31st. Yeah.
And then on fight, so making weight, obviously a big part of any really combat sport. When do you have to make weight? Do you make weight the day you fight or before?
We make weight day before. So weigh-in for us is at 4 p.m. the day before competition. And then we also have something called 5%, which is the morning of competition, a random draw of, I think it's 5 people get drawn to reweigh, and you have to be within 5% of your weigh-in weight. So for me, being a 70-kilo athlete, I can be no more than 73.5 kilos if I get drawn to reweigh. Otherwise, you're scrapped from the competition. And I brought that in a few years ago for health and safety reasons to make sure that people weren't cutting too much weight.
On fight day, on competition day, what's like the go-to meal? We talked about eggs earlier. Obviously, you probably can't eat too much if you're going to be flying through the air and throwing people. But what do you like to eat competition day?
Yeah, comp day for me is a little different to my normal days. I'll probably go with some oats and honey, just slow release as well as some instant energy for warming up. And then throughout the day, just muesli bars, some lollies, goos as well, which is the sorry, the glucose, highly sugary glucose goos, to make sure that take them just before I go out onto competition as well, to get me through the 12-minute fight that I'm probably inevitably going to be having, because I love to do 12-minute fights, which is something that I've been working on. And then during the break, if I make it to finals, during the break, I'll have something, a proper meal, not too big a meal, but enough. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it until dinner.
Sugar goo, yummy.
Yeah, it tastes great. Some of them taste bad. Some of them taste great.
What's the go-to lolly?
Go to lolly if you're in Europe, probably some Haribo's, Star Mix, or gummy bears.
Do you have
Uh,
a preference?
no, either one of those is fine. I'm not super picky about my sugar. As
Do you have a favorite
long as it's got sugar, it's okay.
Yeah, legit. Do you have a favorite flavor of gummy bear?
No, not really. I have a favorite flavor of like Skittles and stuff, but not the gummy bears.
Which is the Skittles flavor?
Orange. I like the citrus flavors. Yeah, everybody looks at me funny when I say that because I don't say the berry flavors, but the citrus ones just hit better.
What is it about humans that they're like the red and the purple flavor?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It must be the colors must be pleasing to the eyes or something, because citrus is way better.
What are we talking about? Aoife, I thank you so much for the time. I'll let you have breakfast and not think about lollies. Uh, Best of luck in the Olympics. Safe travels over there. I thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.